When mankind discovered fire over 1 million years ago, life changed forever. When I discovered fire, it saved my life. I'm Marcus Frisbee, founder of Meet and Greet, a barbecue lifestyle brand born when life left me no other option but to bet everything on my inner flame. Yes, just a few short years ago I had lost my way. I had no direction, no purpose. Then I discovered barbecuing, or should I say, barbecue discovered me. It's funny, they say if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Man, it was the opposite for me. These flames became my torch. They helped me find my path to freedom, fellowship, and salvation. Just like that, being a pitmaster went from being a pastime to a passion to my mission. Not for a second do I believe this was an accident. God had plans for me. This fire has taught me to believe in myself and chase my dreams. It's feeding my mind, my body, my soul. Now, I want to pay it forward, one brisket at a time. I love sharing my food and my story. I want to encourage others to use their inner flame to find their passion in life. This 1,000-gallon pit has a big appetite and wants a flame like a friendly dragon. I'm feeding it post oak and smoking briskets provided by some of the best people in the beef business, 44 Farms. I've been following them for years and we share some important beliefs: hard work, helping others, good beef, and God. Some of this food is going to the homeless. They could really use a great meal and a story of hope. I'm excited to serve both. This is my story. You know, barbecue will humble you. Imagine this. You're a backyard warrior. It's your first time cooking brisket. You've watched 100 YouTube videos and you're ready to rip. You season it, you get it on the smoker, and it's the wee hours of the night and you're all by yourself and you're cooking this brisket. You have no idea actually on the inside of the brisket if it's working. All you have are some key indicators to tell you if it's working. You're gonna find out if that brisket cook worked when you're in front of everyone that you're serving. You're gonna slice that brisket right in front of everyone. Now let's go a step higher. You run a barbecue restaurant. You're serving hundreds of patrons. You're invested thousands of dollars into your meat at this point. And you have people coming in because you are a Texas top 50 restaurant. You're a destination location. People are gonna come and eat your barbecue in Texas, where the expectation is near perfection. Near perfection. Go out and find me an industry where the people having what you have to offer are expecting you to be perfect every single time. And then show me that industry that requires you to cook the thing with fire, out in the elements, with so many uncontrollables. There are so many lessons to be learned in barbecue, but in this example, the biggest lesson that I've learned about barbecue is there is no hiding, there is no faking. You either better put in the time and the effort to figure out how to do this thing, because if you're not okay tending a fire for prolonged periods of time and being willing to test things and fail and botch briskets and botch ribs and cut a brisket open after your family watched you cook this thing and you ran around and you were doing sides and you did ribs and you got the brisket and you got friends coming over and you figured out, well, how am I gonna hold this here and cook this over here? And your family watched that carnival happen. And now it's time, it's go time. If you're not okay with slicing that brisket open, turning it towards your friends and it's just bone dry, if you're not okay with that, barbecue's just not for you, and that's okay. But if something about that scratches, itches something in a weird way, well, what I always say is welcome to barbecue, because every cook is a new cook. A pitmaster's born every day. Every day a pitmaster's born, and the learning never stops. The first time I ever saw an offset smoker, I was blown away, wasn't even the right words. My dad went and bought this big box store offset smoker. I think it was actually one of, if not the first iteration of an Oklahoma Joe that was sold in the big box stores. And I remember I saw it, and I just remember looking at it, and I'm like, what even is that? I thought it was a grill. I love my dad to death, and with all due respect, he had no idea what he was doing with it. And I don't knock him because there was no real information. It's a lot of work to run an offset smoker. And so I think he just got to a point where he was like, yeah, that was a fun purchase, not really my jam. And so it just sat there for a while. And I remember I'd look at it and I would just sit there and I'd actually stare at it and try to compute, how do you use that? Like, what actually, because when I would eat the food coming off of it, I'm like, I don't think that's what that's supposed to taste like. Then Food Network came along somewhere in there, and I watched a Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and I saw barbecue really the right way for the first time. I was enthralled. And I'll take 2 seconds to tell you a full circle moment. Lance actually doesn't know this. If you're familiar with Style Switch Barbecue, I shot a mini documentary at Style Switch some months ago. And when I was there interviewing Lance, he was talking about working at Louis Miller and his story. Then when I went to go edit the documentary, I just looked up, I was like, Lance Kirkpatrick, Louis Miller, and the Food Network episode came up. And I went back in my chair like that. I was like, are you kidding me? The very first introduction I had to real barbecue was Lance Kirkpatrick walking around at 1,000,000 miles an hour, cooking old school Texas craft brisket. And then I thought to myself, there is no way that come full circle, and now here I am doing this documentary. And anyways, at the time I didn't know, I would have told him then. So Lance, if you're watching this, brother, you actually were the pitmaster that set the hooks in me deep for this whole barbecue thing, and I didn't even know it. But I watched that episode and I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna recreate this. I'm gonna make some ribs. And I saw in that episode of Food Network, I saw them using all this pepper and stuff. So I literally took containers of black pepper, the fine black pepper, drenched it on the ribs, rubbed it all down, put them in saran wrap, put them in the fridge, left it in there for a couple days, put a bunch of gasoline on some charcoal, put the ribs offset from the heat, walked away for 2 hours, came back when it was about time to eat, pulled them out, put them on the table in front of all my friends and family. And when I tell you that those ribs were toxic, you literally could not eat them. You know it's bad when your friends and family can't even lie to you and tell you it's good. That's how you know it's bad. But in that moment, I was hooked. I was humbled and hooked. I knew that I royally messed those up, but I simultaneously knew that I just had to master these. And so I've spent the rest of my life learning barbecue, but in that time of my life, I spent a lot of time by myself poking at that smoker, trying to figure out how to learn it. When you're managing a fire, it takes a unique level of patience. You know, you really can't rush the fire. The wood's gonna do what the wood's gonna do. Of course, we got some tips in the back pocket, in the toolbox, that we can pull out to get things to work how we work. But the splits, the wood, the moisture of the wood's gonna be the moisture of the wood. I can control the heat on my stove. I can turn it on high, I can turn it on medium low. I can go to my oven and I can push 375 and realize that's a little bit too hot, and I can drop it to 300. And 1,000 gallon, if you're too hot, you're too hot. You gotta make some adjustments. And if you overshot, you gotta wait till you settle down. or any smoker, a backyard smoker. If you overcompensated anywhere along the way, you're just gonna have to be patient and let the wood do what it wants to do. You can control the firebox dampers, you can control the smokestack damper, you can control the way that you're building your fire, whether it be a log cabin fire, a bundle fire, or whatever kind of fire you're building. But at the end of the day, the wood's gonna do what the wood's gotta do, and the key to being a real pit master is understanding what wood is going to do and trying to predict it, and you're thinking ahead to try to account for it within the fire management. And that's the fun. That is the beauty of barbecue. I love it so much. Mama Ada was my best friend. Not only was Mama Ada a living legend and a firecracker from the deep South, born and raised, well, she was born in Alabama, raised on a farm in Alabama. She was the oldest of 9 brothers and sisters. And so, Mama Ada was my best friend. And I was fortunate enough to have Mama Ada in my life through my childhood, into my teenage years, into my adulthood. Mama Ada managed to stick around for a long time. She fought and battled cancer multiple times over and was victorious for 99% of those battles. But ultimately, she lost the war. She won many battles, but she lost the war. She was my best friend. If I had a time machine and I could go back in time and go back to the first day that I ever cooked anything real over a live fire, I would enter that time machine easily once a day to just be dropped in that moment. I was with Mama Ada, and we had a Weber kettle grill far before I even knew what a Weber kettle was. And frankly, far before I was probably old enough to be anywhere near or operating a live fire. But we were cooking chicken legs, and she was teaching me how to cook these chicken legs. I couldn't have been more than, 10 years old maybe. And so she was just walking me through the dual zone heat probably before anyone was talking about dual zone or offset temperatures inside of a kettle grill. Mama Ada was explaining, you get one side of this grill super hot with the coals. The other side of the grill, you leave no coals in, and she was showing me you just flip them back and forth. And something she said that literally every time that I cook chicken legs to this day, I just say it in my head on repeat. She said, Marcus, when these chicken legs are done, when the skin and the meat starts to peel back off of the bone, when you start to see that little peel back, the chicken legs are done. And she looked at me and she goes, you don't need a thermometer for this. The chicken will tell you when it's done. And so that's kind of been my mantra for not just barbecue, but so much that I cook, so much of food is I always say, you don't need a thermometer for this one. The food's going to tell you when it's done. Barbecue, it's an isolated passion. It's an isolated art. It's an isolated craft. For a lot of us, especially the backyard warriors, if you're going to cook for some people and you're cooking brisket, there's a high likelihood of you being alone, tending that fire, overseeing that brisket. And I found myself so many times out at the smoker. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just think back to when I got my first cell phone. I couldn't believe that I had this access to other people. It was mind-blowing to me. And so I would legitimately call Mama Ada at any hour of the night. If I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I grab my cell phone 3 o'clock in the morning and I call Mama Ada, and she'd answer as if she was never asleep. And we talked for 30 minutes, an hour and a half. And as I got older, I just got in this interesting habit of when I was up at the wee hours of the night trying to navigate life, I called my grandmother. And so when I'm barbecuing and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm by myself, I wish that I was able to call my grandmother. But yeah. Wish I could call her. She's special. Barbecue, it tethers me to my grandmother in a lot of ways, because so much of that time spent loving on food, it's spent by yourself when you have a lot of time to think, navigate life, navigate the stressors of life, but also the gift of barbecue, which is the same gift that my grandmother would give me when I would call her, is the gift of separating your mind from those stressors. You know, when I barbecue, most times it's the only thing that I have that untethers me from the stressors of life. And so, you know, there's always a moment over a 12 to 15 hour cook when I'm moving fast and I'm thinking about a bill I gotta pay, or I'm thinking about something I gotta do for, you know, meet and greet for the business, or name the thing. I'm thinking about it, and then somewhere as that sun starts to go down, the moon comes up. It's like a wash. It's like a wind that comes over, and everything gets quiet, everything gets calm, and it gets even. And the barbecue, it really does. It reminds me that life's gonna be okay. It'll be all right. It might be tough, it might be hard, it might be getting you down, but it'll be all right. And so my point is, that's the same gift that Mama Ada gave me. You know, at 3 o'clock in the morning when I call her, thinking about minds racing or whatever, the gift was, Marcus, it'll be okay. It's gonna be all right. I say all this to say, Mama Ada she really left her fingerprint on me and what food and fellowship and serving others means. She left her fingerprint. And so I'll carry it out as long as I'm doing meet and greet, as long as we're building this community. I just want people to know, I really, to my core, I want people to know that this is what's inside of me. And so when I'm serving people, or when I'm doing a video, or I'm doing an instructional or consulting for barbecue, I just want people to know in my core that this is what's living inside of me. And this is why it comes across as though it's far deeper than, you know, what meets the surface. And I have Mama Ada to thank for that one. You know, when I started Meet and Greet, it was just a passion project. I didn't think it would be anything what it's like today. And frankly, I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about the community. I wanted someone to watch one of my videos and feel like, holy cow, I like this guy. I like what he's talking about. He's genuine. But then they go into the meet and greet ecosystem and they realize, oh, it's not actually about him. He's just the guy that happens to be filming it and talking about it. But there's other people in this community and they're all interacting, and they do. And that's just so cool to me because it's a community. You know, I had a saying early on in meet and greet. I would always say in the beginning of a video, I say, hey guys, it's Marcus, welcome back to meet and greet. And I'd say, meet and greet is for the folks in the back of the back who just want to cook some darn good barbecue. And that's the truth. I felt like meet and greet it's a collective of the folks that we don't want to be showboaty, you know, out and loud and, you know, my brisket's the best brisket, and that's not meet and greet. We're just the folks in the back of the back, you know, who all we want to do is shake a good hand, cook some good barbecue together. We just want our food to speak for itself, and we help each other out and we learn from each other. And so that was the root. That's how it started. If I could say anything, I want meet and greet to be for genuine people who appreciate craft, to land inside the ecosystem and get a little piece of whatever they want. And my guiding principle with meet and greet, it's been this way since day one. And by God, I'm gonna do as best as I can to keep it this way. Is meet and greet, it's not for profit, it's for passion. Now, I've turned it into a business, and it would be great to be profitable, but nothing I do starts off as, how much money could I make doing this? If you land inside a meet and greet, anything that I do started off as passion first. And I'll try my best to keep it that way. Meet and greet, it's not for profit, it's for passion, baby. 44 Farms got entered into the discussion. 44 Farms entered the chat when I got this 1,000-gallon smoker. The only thing that people expect is for you to load it from front to back with brisket. Now, getting 20 to 30 brisket to load on the smoker for its maiden voyage was a bit of an uphill battle. So I'm trying to calculate, in my head, like, how am I going to get the briskets? Where am I going to put them? I have no idea how the 1,000 gallons is going to cook. I mean, there's so many variables. And I thought to myself, let me reach out to 44 Farms. I'd known about 44 for years. They have some of the best beef in the game. And so I reached out on a whim, threw them the idea, and 4 conversations later, we came out the other side with not only 30 briskets, but we came out the other side genuinely friends. And that's just such the cool thing about barbecue. I love it so much. You meet people and you instantly have a connection. You instantly have a connection with them. And I just love that. So shout out to 44. The double fours, thank you 44 for helping me out. Today's brisket cook, man, it was everything for me. It was everything. It wasn't just the culmination of years of trial and error, but it was the culmination of something that started off as a curiosity, and it evolved into a hobby, which then evolved into a passion, which has turned into my life. Barbecue is my life. My family supported me. My wife has supported me through this. So many people have played their part in just getting me right here in this very seat, talking to you right here. So much has gone into this, and it would take a 100-part series to unpack it all. But if I could summarize it, this cook today, from the bottom of my heart, it means everything to me.
There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friend. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants because a master doesn't confide in his servants. Now I call you friends because I have told you everything the Father has told me. You didn't choose me, I chose you. I appointed you to go and bear lasting fruit that will remain. And so here we are, this brisket cook. It's more than food. It's a chance to serve those who made the ultimate sacrifice, to give back to the men and women who laid their lives on the line for this country. To our men and women of the United States military, thank you for your service. And to barbecue, thank you. Thank you for being the table we gather around, the fire we heal beside, and the gift that reminds us it's gonna be okay.